Next on NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
We'll take you on an agricultural tour of South Central Texas. Plus, we have tips on how cattlemen could get more involved using social media.
And now, NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman with host Kevin Oxner.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman. I'm Kevin Oxner. Thanks for joining us. Topping this week's news, despite a weak world economy in 2009, the final tally of U.S. beef exports for last year shows some positive trends. The USDA reports that for 2009, overall U.S. beef exports were valued at just over $3 billion, down about 9% from 2008. Reduced exports to Mexico were the primary reason for the decline. But U.S. beef exports held up much stronger than other competitors in the world, such as Brazil, Canada, and Australia. And there was real progress made last year in opening up greater U.S. beef sales to consumers in key Asian markets such as Korea and Japan. We learn more about those efforts in this report from Brian Baxter.
Grocery stores and restaurants in Korea and Japan are busy places as the two nations are showing signs of stronger economies. Tapping into renewed consumer demand, the U.S. Meat Export Federation, with help from beef checkoff dollars, continues an aggressive consumer marketing campaign for U.S. beef.
There are consumers here tasting the samples and buying the beef. We've been watching it happen here. This is the second store today. And this is a great example of the value of the beef checkoff in the United States selling U.S. beef here in Tokyo, Japan.
Jim Peterson and other producers on the USMEF officer team visited both Japan and Korea to see the market opportunities firsthand. In Seoul, Korea, they found consumers tasting samples of U.S. beef in a major retail store called E-Mart.
Actually, E-Mart is the #1 leading stores in Korean market, and it's very important to find a successful partner to be successful in this market. And what we are doing here in E-Mart is having a tasting promotion because we want to maximize the opportunity for Korean consumer to experience U.S. beef quality and taste.
U.S. beef is also being promoted in Korean barbecue restaurants, and earlier this year a new steak restaurant opened in Seoul, the first to offer only U.S. prime beef.
Yes, what we're using is USDA prime meat only. Actually, I'm the steak lover, and the thing is in Korea, so that I haven't tasted the best steak yet, so I just decided to, why not? I make my own, so I can eat steak every night.
You know, we have a mature beef market in the United States, and here you have a developing and a tremendously growing beef market. The opportunity for U.S. beef checkoff dollars, in my mind, right now is in the international marketplace.
In 2009, the value of total U.S. beef exports to Korea was more than $215 million. Japan was a market for more than $470 million worth of U.S. beef last year. I'm Brian Baxter reporting for Cattleman to Cattleman.
Exports will continue to remain a key to increasing demand for U.S. beef. We have more in this week's Market Watch.
Market Watch, brought to you by Pfizer Animal Health.
Joining us in the studio is Erica Rosa with the Livestock Marketing Information Center. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me today.
You bet. Well, talk to us a little bit about the numbers we just spoke of, a decrease in exports in 2009.
That's correct. 2009 was very challenging for the U.S. beef export market. The global recession weighed very heavily on consumer demand in many of our trading nations for beef products. Now, on a carcass weight basis, that's a tonnage volume basis, overall beef exports were down only about 1%. Again, that's beef only. It doesn't include the byproduct, the non-meat items. When those are factored into the equation, the overall tonnage did drop a little bit more. Now, on a value basis, the value of U.S. beef exports did decrease, as you mentioned earlier. But a good point of 2009 is the U.S. maintained its net exporter status. We finally regained that in 2008 after the BSC situation, and that's on a dollar value basis. So overall, we exported more beef and cattle on a value basis than we imported, which was still good positive news. Now, one of the key things about 2009 was Mexico, which is our largest trading partner on a volume basis. They account for about a third of our total tonnage of beef exports, had a very severe experience with the recession. They experienced devaluation of the peso, and consumer demand was impacted very heavily. So that was a big negative draw on our exports. But by the end of 2009, exports started to increase to Mexico, and things were looking better as we went into 2010. Also a good point on 2009 was we did expand our growth of exports into the Asian markets. So overall, on a tonnage basis and a value basis, our exports did decline in 2009. There were some hopefuls going into 2010. We saw improved exports to Mexico and other countries towards the end of 2009, and we continued year-to-year growth in our Asian markets.
I know in our industry there's a lot of debate and discussion about exports and imports and different trade policies and so forth. Why, in your opinion, is the export market so important to long-term demand growth for U.S. beef industry?
Well, it's very key. It supports not only the cattle market, but the beef market, because there's a lot of items that U.S. consumers do not prefer. They don't have a large taste for or a great demand for. Thus, they put a lower value on those items, such as a tongue or a liver or short ribs. And those products, however, are very highly regarded in other nations. Thus, they put a higher dollar value on those. So we have items that we export and we receive a higher value in those export markets than they do here in the U.S., which is a good thing because that higher value trickles down into beef prices, which trickles down to live cattle prices. In fact, non-meat items such as the byproduct value, the hearts, the tongues, the livers, actually support $1 to $2 to $3 or even more dollars per hundredweight to live cattle prices, depending on how much those byproduct values are receiving. So it's a very good thing because the higher values received support live cattle prices and beef prices here in the U.S.
Well, I'm going to put you on the spot. Look into your crystal ball and tell me what you see for 2010 and beyond.
Well, things are looking pretty good for 2010. As I mentioned earlier, late in 2009, we saw some improved export growth to Mexico, and that also carried over to other trading nations. In fact, we saw year-to-year increases in the fall of 2009 in export tonnage. As well as we go into 2010, based on our preliminary weekly data for just whole muscle beef cuts, not including any byproducts or bone-in or boneless, just some whole muscle cuts, we're actually showing year-to-year increases in January and February. Now, granted, last year we did see some disappointing low export tonnage values last year, but still, the year-to-year growth that we've seen in our preliminary weekly export data is setting up a picture that things are looking pretty good. As the global economy improves, we're already starting to see some signs of that. That's supporting consumer demand, particularly in our export markets. So overall, exports should increase modestly through 2010. At the Livestock Market Information Center, we're forecasting a year-to-year increase of 2 to 3% in total beef exports over 2009. We're slowly getting to the level that we were at before BSC, but we still have a little bit more ways to go.
Well, that is good news, and if you keep bringing that good news, we'll keep having you back on the show.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us. For more insight and analysis from the Livestock Marketing Information Center, visit our website at cattlemantocattleman.org. Ahead on NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman, we'll learn more about how cattlemen can get involved with social media. Plus, we'll take you on an agricultural tour of South Central Texas. We'll be right back.
You know, I didn't think I could afford to vaccinate for scours. Then my vet told me about Guardian vaccine. Guardian offers the most complete coverage of anti-scours vaccine. And now Guardian can protect my calves against E. coli up to 6 months prior to calving.
It pays to vaccinate with Guardian Scours vaccine.
Thanks to Guardian, I have healthier calves and healthier profits.
I'd like a moment with you cow-calf folks to talk about BQA, the Beef Quality Assurance Program. BQA has been designed to reduce bruises, blemishes, lamenesses, and impolite behavior in the calves market. The point is to guarantee as best we can to our buyers and to consumers that we cattlemen know what we're doing, that we're treating our animals right, and the meat they buy is safe and wholesome. Now, most of the big feedlots and ranchers have signed on already, but that leaves the rest of us, and even if you only have 20 cows and a job in town, you need to be involved. because every calf you sell is going to wind up on a plate someday, and we want our customers, all of them, to have a great dining experience, right? BQA helps furnish you with management tools and useful information to increase the value of your calves. So check it out at bqa.org and see what it takes to be involved in your stake, because it's the right thing to do.
Welcome back. One of the many fun and informative activities available at each year's Cattle Industry Convention is a pre-convention agricultural tour in the host state. Cattleman to Cattleman reporter Mandy Carr Johnson had the chance to spend the day checking out the sights of the cattle industry around San Antonio.
Things get started in the pre-dawn hours as tour goers board buses to head to their first destination. It promises to be a day filled with many interesting things to see and experience around the San Antonio area.
We try to pick unusual places, things that people would like to see, our members would benefit from. Every year it's something different. It's fun. It starts out the convention with a fun event because there's a lot of work to be done in the next week.
The first stop takes the group back in time. The Sauer Beckman Farm presents life just as it was in 1918 as costumed interpreters carry out the day-to-day activities of the turn-of-the-century Texas German farm.
Here at the ranch, they're showing a self-contained ranch where they raise their own food, raise their own product, and it's interesting.
I think it's of great value to come see how we did it, and it's not... It's certainly a green method. Green is the buzzword right now, and at this time period, we didn't waste anything. We utilized all that we did. And I think that's something that the farmers and the ranchers coming through here today could take home with them and appreciate, because even though we're looking at nearly 90 years difference in time span, it's still bottom line numbers and being very efficient, good stewards of the land and taking care of their livestock. And I think they'd find they have that in common.
Later on, our tour members get a first-hand look at a little slice of American history. This is the home of former President Lyndon B. Johnson. The Texas White House, as it is known, was a center of political activity for more than 20 years. Today at the LBJ Ranch, they're still hard at work raising cattle just as they did when Johnson was president.
When people would come, well, one of the things he would do is take them on a tour of the ranch, where they'd drive them right up to the cows where they could literally touch one of them. This was the place where he came to talk, as Miss Johnson said, for some good cattle talk and with some friends and neighboring ranchers, and where he could sort of relax.
I grew up in Kentucky and we live in Tennessee now, so I wasn't as familiar with the ranch here, but I'm very glad that we got to come here and see the good quality Hereford cattle.
Throughout the many stops, tour members get a chance not only to see interesting sights, but to meet cattle producers from all over the world and learn more about each other's operations.
There's a tremendous amount of value in the people you visit with. They're from all parts of the United States, all cattlemen, and all raise the same product. We just do it in different ways in different areas.
We are having a great time getting to see part of the Texas countryside, visiting the LBJ Ranch, and getting to visit with cattle producers from all over the U.S. I went on a pre-convention tour in Reno and in Denver, and I've also was the one who put together the pre-convention tour the last time NCBA was in Nashville. My husband and I both really enjoy it, and we try to come out a day early to get to do this.
I've been doing this for about 7 years, and I would say there's quite a few that have been on it every year. I think they just enjoy it, and they get to visit places that they normally wouldn't be able to visit.
In all, the tour made 6 different stops in one day's time and provided a unique Texas experience to kick off the week's activities. From San Antonio, I'm Mandy Carr Johnson for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
Next year's Pre-Ag Tour will precede the 2011 Cattle Industry Annual Convention and NCBA Trade Show right here in Denver, Colorado. Ahead, we'll get tips on how cattlemen can best use social media. We'll be right back.
Sure, anyone can make a twine bale, but can you make them right bale after bale till the whole field is done? With a John Deere 458 Standard, you can. The new automatic twine tie system takes the headache out of wrapping a twine bale. It packs a whole lot of baler into one affordable package. Ready to show those twine bales who's boss? Talk to your John Deere dealer today.
2 100% pure USDA inspected patties are only the beginning of what make the Big Mac famous, and that's what we're made of.
Comprehensive, practical, powerful. Now's the time to put the power of DNA to work in your herd with the comprehensive Identity Profile. The inside information from Identity can help you make more confident replacement heifer and herd sire selection decisions, add marketability to your feeder cattle, make faster genetic progress, and more. The best time to get started is when you're already working cattle, during branding, weaning, or bull soundness exams. Get started today. Visit iGenity.com or call 1-877-IGENITY to put the power of DNA to work in your herd.
Welcome back. During the past year, more than 1,000 beef producers have graduated with an MBA. That's MBA as in Master of Beef Advocacy. It's a beef checkoff program started last March to mobilize cattle producers as active spokespeople for the industry. We have more from Cattleman to Cattleman reporter Justin Field.
Twitter, lots of people do these days. It and other online social media tools are being encouraged to help inform consumers about beef and cattle production. These tools are too popular to be ignored.
Social media is growing by leaps and bounds, and I think people are starting to see how effective a tool it can be when it comes to talking about farming and ranching and promoting the beef industry. And so I think there's a lot of excitement on there, and when people actually get on there and get to using it, they can realize how easy it really is.
We have an opportunity now to take our story, the story of modern beef production, straight to the consumer through these powerful tools on the internet. And more agriculture and beef producers in particular, through the Masters of Beef Advocacy program, are taking advantage of that opportunity and telling our story to consumers every day in the online social media environment.
The potential audience is huge, and it's growing.
350 million people on Facebook now, and Facebook is just a way to keep up together with friends and fans that want to follow you. And so right there is an excellent way to talk about what we do on our farms and ranches and tell people the story of beef production. And then things like Twitter are also another useful tool where you can send out short messages and status updates about what you're doing, and it's another really easy way to promote the beef industry as well. And there's lots of other tools like YouTube and LinkedIn that we can use, and we don't need to be using all of them, but today's conversations are taking place online, and we need to make sure that we're using some of those to tell our story.
Many producers may feel they don't have time for these kinds of activities, but only 2% of the population is involved in agriculture, so the job of cattlemen is expanding.
The reality of today is that the things we do off the farm, going out and telling our story, are probably just as important as the things we're doing on our farms and ranches today, taking care of our livestock. We have to be out there explaining to people who we are, what we do, and why and how we are caring for our livestock. And it's a great medium to get that done.
Traditional media is also evolving, but not necessarily for the better.
With the mainstream media climate today being very opinionated, really, about modern beef production, we can use social media tools to engage in the political debate, the philosophical debate, the social debate about modern food production and how we're going to produce enough food to feed a growing world population, and engage in that debate with consumers in this global online environment. It's very important.
Luckily, when it comes to developing good sources of information, agriculture has a leg up.
Farmers and ranchers are considered one of the most trustworthy sources of information, and as a group of people, we're considered very trustworthy. So when we can get on there and explain to people who we are and what we do and what our connection to agriculture is, we become a very valuable source of information to consumers, because most of them have never actually met a real farmer or a real rancher, and this gives them an opportunity to do that.
Social media is about using all of the tools at your disposal to do a job that needs to be done.
The Masters of Beef Advocacy program is very much focused on using social media tools and equipping beef producers, whether you're internet savvy or not, to engage in this new way of communicating our story to consumers.
using online social media tools is just another thing we can do. If that's not where your comfort level is, then go out and tell your story face to face with a handshake and looking people in the eye. And really, that's still our best way of telling our story. That's never going to be replaced with a computer, but we have to be where these conversations are taking place, and a lot of them are taking place online today.
Reporting for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman, I'm Justin Field.
Social media is a growing phenomenon that cattlemen can and should participate in. Joining me in the studio today is Meredith Stevens, Digital Marketing Manager at NCBA. Thanks for coming to the show, Meredith.
Thanks for having me.
Well, tell us, first of all, what do you do for NCBA and specifically with the Beef Checkoff?
Sure. Primarily, I work on our consumer-facing website, beefitswhatsfordinner.com, as well as our Beef for Dinner mobile site, so consumers can access on the go when they're at the meat case. I also do the weekly e-newsletter, Beef So Simple, and also some social media tools like Twitter and Facebook and YouTube, as well as working with some state beef councils, for example, like California Beef Council, with an upcoming YouTube contest.
Oh, it sounds exciting. You mentioned Facebook and Twitter, and you know, all of us have heard about it. Some of us are on it, but I think it's still unclear how can we use those tools to inform consumers not only about beef, but about cattle production.
Sure. So one thing to know is that Twitter is called a microblogging site. So the reason that is because your posts, or tweets they call them, are restricted to 140 characters. So you can use links and ways to get your message across, but it's just using those tools in the way that they're designed to be communicated with. Facebook is a social networking site, so that it allows you to kind of upload photo albums and really become fans of your favorite companies or brands that you like to engage with. So that first knowing that how to use those tools is important. What's unique with cattlemen is they have such a great story to tell. And nowadays, consumers are so beyond where their food comes from. They're not quite sure. There's a loss there. There's no connection. So Twitter and Facebook are great tools that cattlemen can share their stories, engage with people, because they're talking about food. They're on Facebook saying, gosh, I'm leaving for work. I'm going to go to the grocery store. What should I buy? What new marinade should I use in my beef choice? So it's a great tool to use and kind of engage with that community.
That's interesting. What other electronic tools would you recommend for cattlemen?
Sure. Well, the important thing is don't just do something because it's out there. Do what works for you. So if you like to take pictures when you're out on your farm, use something like Flickr, which is a photo sharing site where you can upload those and tag those with different key terms. So when people are searching for beef, those pictures come up. There's YouTube if you like to shoot videos when you're on the farm or your ranch. Shoot videos and upload those and really just engage with folks in the way that they're using them.
That's a great suggestion. And tell me this, for those of us that may not be as advanced as you clearly are in this, what would be some suggestions for how folks can get started just sharing their story online?
It's easy. The first thing I like to do is listen. Go into a blog, find a blog that you like to read, post a comment, share your opinion, kind of start that two-way dialogue with people, because it's really just conversations. People online having conversations about food, nutrition, and what you're doing in your life. So really listening is an easy thing you can start doing. The next thing, if you really want to kind of take it to the next level, is start a page. I know it can be scary sometimes, but get online, get on Facebook, start your own profile, kind of experiment. Everybody's learning in online and with social media in particular, so the easiest thing to do is really just get online and try it.
Yeah, and I'm online. They shame me into being online with Cattleman to Cattleman and our Facebook page, so I did get online. Not very good at that, but these are some great tips. What other advice would you give folks that are kind of intrigued by what you've had to say today?
Sure. Well, the one thing about social media that's really, you've heard it in mainstream media, traditional media, magazine articles, everybody's talking about Twitter and Facebook in particular. The reason is because a lot of reporters nowadays are finding their news or trends or things, focus groups almost, because they're monitoring these social media sites. So it's important to know that those conversations, they're being looked at. People are paying attention to those, and they're paying attention to what people are saying. So you really want to just engage with them, take your time. Really listening is easiest with a blogger. But Twitter and Facebook, maybe it's just, with a friend, getting together and saying, hey, how do I engage with these folks? And remember, it's a two-way dialogue. It's really just instead of an in-person conversation, it's online. And so it's really that two-way dialogue with people, because you're not trying to necessarily change their opinions, and it's not going to happen overnight, but you just want to share your story, because we all have a story to tell.
That's great. And you know, we've often talked about getting our message out. What better way to do it than electronically?
Exactly.
Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
You bet. For details on NCBA's social media programs or to become a fan of this show on Facebook, visit our website at cattlemantocattleman.org. We'll be right back.
You're not responsible for the weather, just the cattle. And Rangeland works as hard as you do to deliver performance, production, and profitability. Cattle need consistent nutrition. They'll get it year-round with Rangeland products from Land O'Lakes. Deliver what they need free choice in weather-resistant loose minerals and mineral and protein tubs. Get the most out of your forage. See your Land O'Lakes Co-op for products that will stand up to whatever Mother Nature throws at us. Weather's coming in. Rangeland. Consider it done.
From fresh tomatoes to potatoes and chicken to beef, we're as picky about our quality ingredients as you are. Because that's what we're made of.
Now, nothing goes better with a good steak than a great glass of wine. One of the new events at the 2010 Cattle Industry Annual Convention and NCBA Trade Show was a wine tasting reception. Convention attendees had the chance to try out some different wines while mingling with friends and visiting about different booths. Reporter Marvin Kokash has an inside look at this new event.
New convention goers and veterans alike took advantage of one of the new events at the NCBA Trade Show in San Antonio. The Waltz Across Texas Wine Tasting Reception, sponsored by Novus International.
This is the third year I've been here, and they've actually never done wine tasting.
I have been since 1975, most of them, not all of them, convention.
Many people were excited to see a new twist in the trade show festivities.
I had to try the wine tasting. I think it's a good idea.
I just really like it because we always have the beer, and I'm not really a beer girl, but I am a wine girl.
The wine tasting reception was designed to help promote NCBA and help trade show attendees connect.
We need to be more visible, whether it's at a wine tasting or whether it's at a trade show. It's the fact that we come down here and set policy and to be involved in that. Trade show is great, always has been. You get to see new and innovative things that we see coming down the pipe.
Essentially walk from booth to booth, talk to people. I'm big on the networking because I want my name out there. And it's really good too because I've come back here, like I said, the last 3 years, and I've already got people being like, hey, I recognize you from last year.
Those who attended the wine tasting marked the event as a huge success.
Well, I think the line speaks for itself, and I think it's just another way to bring in just another part of the agriculture industry, because I kind of think of the beer relates down to distiller grains to cattle, and then you can also relate that to the wineries as well, because they do have byproducts that we use in the cattle industry.
And of course, when there's a variety of wine, there's always room to try something new.
I've only tried the Chardonnays because I'm definitely a Chardonnay person, but I do have one more little cork left, so I'll probably try another, like a Cabernet Sauvignon or something like that.
Found a new one that's very good.
Ultimately, no one can argue that wine and steak are made for each other.
Maybe not white wine with beef, but definitely red wine with beef.
Oh, my goodness, yes. Wine is good for the heart and beef is good for everything, and there's nothing better.
Reporting from the 2010 Cattle Industry Annual Convention and NCBA Trade Show in San Antonio, I'm Marvin Kokash for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
Wine and beef, what a great combination. Up next, a great recipe, Thai curry beef from Chef Michelle Mussel. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
These days, more cattlemen choose Draxxin to fight BRD than any other brand. Here's why.
It works. We have fewer repulls, and the ones that we do repull respond, and we have fewer chronics in the end.
To retreat anything it's a lot more expensive than using Draxxin as a first time.
And the evidence backs up what most cattlemen already know. Draxxin cuts retreats by 50%. So talk to your veterinarian and check the online calculator at Draxxin.com. You'll see why Draxxin should be your first choice to fight BRD.
Basically what it's allowed us to do with our operation is run more cattle through in a given period of time. It's just really been a good product to use.
Do not use in female dairy cattle 20 months of age or older. Do not use in calves to be processed for veal. Draxxin has a pre-slaughter withdrawal time of 18 days. Please visit Draxxin.com or call 1-888-DRAXXIN for more information.
Quality matters to me because I love my family. I want to raise my family here like generations before me. My family has always worked together and played together. We have always laughed together and cried together. My family is my life. Careful stewardship of the animals and resources that are under my care benefits my family. They live where I work and eat the same food that I produce. I'm proud of what we'll do here today.
Welcome back. It's one of my family's favorites, beef stir fry. And joining me in the studio today is Chef Michelle Mussel with a great beef stir fry recipe. Michelle, tell us what you have.
Well, we're doing a stir fry, but we're doing a Thai stir fry.
A Thai?
So normally when you think of stir fries, they're usually Chinese or Japanese. We're going to do Thai today.
Little kick or what is?
It's got a little kick. It's got a little red curry paste to it.
Wow.
Not too much, but it definitely has a full flavor.
All right, very good.
So we're going to start off. The beef we're going to use today is top sirloin.
All right.
And this recipe calls for 1 pound of top sirloin.
Excellent.
Kind of an easy cheat guide to top sirloin is that if you have it cut 1 inch thick, it's usually 1 pound.
Gotcha.
Something easy for me to remember.
Gotcha.
So when a recipe calls for 1 pound of top sirloin, it is a 1 inch thick steak.
Perfect.
Okay. So I'm going to show you when I'm going to stir fry. I'm going to take my top sirloin and I'm going to cut it across the grain into thin strips. So I'm going to kind of show you how to do a little bit of that, and then we'll move on.
Very good.
Pull this over to my cutting board. I'm going to take my slicing knife, and I like to use really long, thin, narrow slicing knives with the grooves in.
Really?
So that way, what this does is it creates, or actually releases friction, adds friction, releases that stickiness,
Really? So it doesn't
so
stick
that
to
the beef doesn't continue to stick to your
I didn't
knife.
realize that.
It's also great for potatoes.
Okay. We like potatoes too.
So I'm going to go ahead and just start here. Now, with top sirloin, because of, if you notice, there's several different muscles in here.
Sure.
Don't be so concerned when I say cut it across the grain, because at different points of the top sirloin, your grain may change.
Yeah. Okay.
And this is a tender enough cut that, for the most part, you're getting it.
But what about 1/4 inch thick, 1/8 inch thick?
About a quarter inch thick, 1/8 to 1/4. So I've cut a few slices. Now, what you can do from here is, you see how, these are fairly long.
Yes.
Yeah, I usually cut those in half again.
I see. Yep.
So it just makes it a little easier to deal with.
To eat, yeah.
So let's move on.
Okay.
What I've done is, I'm going to remove this here, is I've already stir fried half a pound.
Okay.
What I did was I took my top sirloin and I mixed it, I kind of put it in a Ziploc bag and massaged it with about 3 teaspoons of red curry paste.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so it's a pretty thick paste. So when I say massaging it, that's kind of what it takes to coat it all. It's not something that you just kind of drizzle over. You really kind of have to work it in.
Okay.
And that just gets even more flavor
But once
into
you've
the
got
steak.
it sliced.
Once you get it sliced, put it in a Ziploc bag or in a bowl.
Gotcha.
You just kind of have to work it in.
Good.
Okay. So I've done that. I've stir fried my first batch.
Okay.
Now, when I say I've stir fried my first batch, I say that because you always want to stir fry in at least 2 to 3 batches, depending on how much meat you have.
Because why?
You don't want to overcrowd your pan. When you overcrowd your pan, you actually have steam that happens and not browning.
Okay.
And browning is what gives beef and any dish great flavor.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So I've got my burner on burner's all hot and I'm ready to go.
Okay.
I'm going to do my second batch.
All right.
So here I've got another ½ pound
I see.
of the rubbed top sirloin.
Gotcha.
So I'm going to go ahead and
And that
add
Thai
that.
paste is something you can find in grocery stores?
Yes, you can find it in your the ethnic aisles, the Asian aisles, and the grocery stores.
Yeah.
So I'm going to add that in, nice little sizzle.
All right.
And I'm going to kind of separate it all out.
Gotcha.
So that it's not crowding.
Gotcha. We may do a little crowding at home, but maybe we won't after this.
Well, and another thing you'll notice when you crowd too much, you'll see an awful lot of liquid in your pan.
I see.
Which really then dilutes any sauce you're making.
Gotcha.
So while this is browning, we're going to go ahead and start our second stage.
Okay.
And that is, I'm going to move this out of the way as well. I'm just going to slide this over a little. I'm going to add...
Is that sour cream? What is that?
This is coconut milk.
Coconut milk, really?
Yes, and it is incredible.
Okay.
And you also can find this in the Asian aisle.
Really?
Okay. And it comes in light forms and just regular full fat coconut milk.
Wow.
And to that I'm going to add 2 more teaspoons of the red Thai chili paste.
Gotcha.
Okay. So I'm going to just whisk that in.
Uh-huh.
And this is going to add just another dimension of that flavor.
Gotcha. Well, now you are getting exotic with Thai paste and coconut butter. That's not found in the Ochsner kitchen, I can promise you.
I'm going to give this a stir.
All right.
Multitasking.
Absolutely, that's impressive.
So I'm going to finish whisking this. Okay, we've got this all good to go. And this is almost set.
Okay.
When you're stir frying beef,
yeah,
it only takes, about 1 to 2 minutes per side.
Gotcha.
You want to just
overcook it.
you want to do it just until it's no longer pink.
Gotcha.
But you still want that tender bite. So you're still looking for, in essence, a medium rare.
Gotcha.
Doneness.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you,
it's looking good.
it doesn't matter if you go beyond that. It doesn't matter how tender the steak is.
Yeah.
At that point, you are squeezing out any juice that it has.
Yeah, exactly. Any leftover juice. That's right. Yeah.
So we're about set here.
That's great. And as we do that, you've got a number of great vegetables. I love sugar snap peas.
And this is a great blend. You can find this in your produce section.
Okay.
And it's already mixed
Frozen
up for you.
Yeah.
Well, I like fresh.
Gotcha.
Particularly in this recipe because you're going to be cooking it for a little bit.
I see.
Frozen might break down a little.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I can also tell you how to incorporate frozen.
Okay. All right.
You just have to switch up your times a little.
Gotcha.
I'm going to add this into my
add
bowl.
that to our original? You bet. Let me move that. That's perfect. Sounding great. Yeah. Nice little adjustment from the typical roasts or steaks or burgers. That's kind of a nice new.
And this is a really easy weeknight meal that's kind of, a lot of times, your weeknight meals, you think, oh, they've got to be just, something real simple. You don't really think of high flavor.
Right.
It's like, get them fed, get them out, kind of
but
thing.
With just a couple
this
ingredients.
is so simple, but it's really flavorful.
Yeah, okay.
So to my pan, I'm going to go ahead and add my coconut mixture.
Gotcha, all right. Wow. This is going to be different than most stir fries I've had.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now you're making it sauce.
Okay.
And I'm going to kind of stir this up a little bit and let it heat. And
just on low heat or?
Just on low, medium to low. I'm going to actually turn this down a little.
Okay, all right.
And what I'm doing by heating this is that, again, I'm bringing out the spices and the flavors of that curry paste.
Wow.
You're in essence blooming it.
Sure.
Okay. So we've got this kind of going here. I'm going to add my vegetables.
I think that's what
tone down the heat.
That's great. Yeah. It looks great too. It's colorful, kind of a.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, really colorful.
So we go ahead and add these in.
So it's okay with if it bubbles a little bit and so forth. You don't want it, yeah. Yeah. Look at that.
Because what you're doing too is you're reducing the sauce a bit.
Okay.
Because you want it to be just a little thick.
Gotcha.
You want it to coat your vegetables and your beef. So I'm going to set this over.
And so how long will we?
This takes about 8 to 10 minutes to cook fresh vegetables.
Excellent.
Now I told you you asked about frozen, and I can tell you how you can incorporate frozen. And basically you're going to do this step backwards.
Oh,
okay.
Gotcha.
So here I have I know I've got 8 to 10 minutes with these vegetables.
Right.
And then I'm going to go ahead and add back in my beef.
Gotcha.
Now, if you're going to use frozen vegetables,
start with the vegetables.
You would put your beef back in.
Oh, I see.
And add your frozen vegetables. Now, when you're using frozen vegetables, I also would recommend that you have them thawed.
Okay.
Okay.
In advance, that's what I was wondering.
Because if you use them straight from the freezer,
right.
now you're cooling everything way back down again, and then you're going to heat it back up, and it's going to overcook everything.
Gotcha. All right. And then what do we do next?
So then, now that this is getting cooked down, I'm going to go ahead and add back in my beef.
Add the beef.
And really all you're doing at this point is you're reheating your beef. Your beef is
great.
cooked essentially, so you have to remember that.
That's great. And now you brought with you, as we're mixing that, a bag of rice. And I have to tell you, I've never seen bagged rice.
Well, you know, I remembered a conversation we had in another cooking segment about all the variation, all the varieties of rice available to you now. It doesn't have to be something that you have to think too far in advance or take up that extra time. You know, a lot of times, you know, as fast, as quick and easy as a stir fry is, rice takes quite a while to cook. So if you didn't happen to think about it in enough time, you're like, oh, I need rice with that.
So you pull a bag of frozen rice out of your freezer?
Frozen.
Wow.
You just pierce it in a few places, you microwave for 3 minutes, and you're all set.
This is perfect. And this is what we have when it's all said and done. That looks great.
Yep. And all we just did was we garnished it with a little bit more basil.
Sure.
And it's delicious.
Well, Michelle, you always amaze us with new twists on familiar stir fry and other kind of recipes. Thanks for coming again.
Sure, thank you. Thanks for having me.
You bet. For details on this and other great beef recipes, just visit our website at cattlemantocattleman.org.
Discover a great roundup for beef producers. Now, Boehringer Ingelheim Vetmedica Incorporated has rounded up the top brands of animal health products. You bet your boots you won't find more ways to protect your cattle. So trust the leader to protect your cattle. Trust Boehringer Ingelheim. Talk to your Boehringer Ingelheim animal health representative and discover how we can help your operation.
Are you hunting for membership value? Join the National Cattlemen's Beef Association to enjoy an exclusive member benefit. 15% off Cabela's gift cards from NCBA for your cattle business. You can use the cards to purchase all of your favorite Cabela's merchandise. Join NCBA today to take part in this outstanding savings program in addition to all of the benefits of being an NCBA member. Visit beefusa.org.
Why is B&W's turnover ball the best-selling gooseneck hitch in the country? Maybe it's the ingenious way it solves everyday problems. Or because it's time-tested and is rated to tow 30,000 pounds. Maybe it's because our lifetime warranty gives hard-working people peace of mind. Or maybe it's because folks love to own a hitch that's still 100% made in America. The Turnover Ball by B&W. Trusted.
So what do you care if your cattle are source and age verified? Better yet, do you think the housewife cares? Well, 70% of consumers surveyed want to know where their food comes from. So where do you start? With this little green ear tag. IMI Global is the seal of approval that stands behind the beef you've produced. IMI is engaged in source and age verification from the cowman to the kitchen table. So if you're ready to start, just ask us. IMIGlobal.com. There has been much made of the adaptation of machinery to handling cattle. Four-wheelers, jet boats, pickups, helicopters, ultralights, even motorcycles have encroached themselves into the equine domain. To me, there's also a difference in the mindset, rancher or farmer. I myself prefer the rancher cowboy way of working cattle with horses, but I have no gripe with those who are more comfortable in a gas-powered unit. It could be they like the mechanical methods of working cows because it's less exciting. Harold is a Michigan farmer, but a cowboy at heart. He thinks of machinery like it was his horse. Good boy, good boy. Once he was helping his son-in-law wean some calves and ship them. As Harold described it to me, he has a memory of sitting on his ATV watching the gate as his son-in-law moved the calves down the lane. Next thing Harold remembers, the paramedics are standing over him, shining lights in his eyes, putting a tourniquet around his head and puncturing him. He lay on the hard ground and his skull throbbed. From the corner of his swollen eye, he saw the ATV, the left front wheel, looking cockeyed. It was still purring its deep growl and glaring at Harold. In his delusion, he began processing the picture. It threw me off. Was it something I did? Revved the accelerator, stopped on a hole, say something offensive, hit him with my spur, told him a bad tire joke? Did one of the calves kick at it? He couldn't remember it being skittish. He rode it all morning. It never tried to buck. Harold passed out, vowing to check the cinch next time, brush it better, and lift each wheel and clean the tires. But now that he's out of therapy, Harold says he'll never take any old plug for granted, equine or four-wheeler, and I give him a pat on the back for putting excitement back into the cow business. I particularly like the western picture he had painted of himself deep in the saddle, toes pointed out, hand throwed back, putting on a ride ATV at the top of his jump, oil pan to the sky. He called it Treads Up. This is Baxter Black from out there.
Thanks, Baxter. We'll be right back.
Profit, confidence, value. That's what you get with Tri-Merit, a USDA process-verified program brought to your operation by Global Animal Management Incorporated. Tri-Merit's data management system certifies traditional health processes, as well as verifies age and source of individual and groups of animals. To learn more about how Tri-Merit can play a positive role in your operation, visit mygamonline.com.
Tough trailers built for tough country. Big Ben Trailers manufactures a different kind of trailer, one that's built to put up with the rough conditions found on the ranch. Rugged build using heavy gauge powder coated steel and a 2x4 rectangle tube frame. There's a 1-inch gap between the side and floor, so there's no place for water or manure to accumulate and rust. Big Ben trailers are loaded with standard features: a lever action hitch, a 3-foot escape gate, and a middle sorting gate, rhino lining along the front edges, and a receiver hitch to tow another trailer, chute, or other equipment. Tough and practical. That's Big Ben Trailers, designed and built by a working cattleman. You can rely on and trust Big Ben Trailers for their durability and convenient features. Reasonably priced for any rancher to afford. For a list of dealers and other design features, visit BigBenTrailers.com. Big Ben Trailers, built cattlemen tough.
Welcome back. Let's take a look around the country with this week's Legacy Photos. Keep sending us those photos. To do so, visit our website at cattlemantocattleman.org. Next week, we'll have details about how cattlemen can manage risk in 2010. Plus, we'll take you behind the scenes of the NCBA PBR Invitational and the week's news and market headlines. Thanks for joining us for this week's edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman. We'll see you back here next week on RFD TV.
profit, confidence, value. That's what you get with Tri-Merit, a USDA process-verified program brought to your operation by Global Animal Management Incorporated. Tri-Merit's data management system certifies traditional health processes as well as verifies age and source of individual and groups of animals. To learn more about how Tri-Merit can play a positive role in your operation, visit mygamonline.com.
Are you hunting for membership value? Join the National Cattlemen's Beef Association to enjoy an exclusive member benefit. 15% off Cabela's gift cards from NCBA for your cattle business. You can use the cards to purchase all of your favorite Cabela's merchandise. Join NCBA today to take part in this outstanding savings program in addition to all of the benefits of being an NCBA member. Visit beefusa.org.
Join the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. The country's oldest cattle industry organization needs your support as we work each day representing your best interests in Washington, D.C.
NCBA is the voice of the people, if you will. I mean, I think it's extremely important they're out there protecting our interests while we're back home trying to make a living.
You know, we see environmental concerns, we see animal rights concerns that we need to address, you know, on a daily basis. You know, I see NCBA as really our one united voice as far as those issues go.
There are big benefits to being a member, including the monthly magazine, The National Cattleman, as well as discounts on products and services from John Deere, Caterpillar, and Cabela's.
You know, there's many reasons why somebody should become a member of NCBA.
It's easy to join NCBA. Just visit beefusa.org or call us at 1-866-USA-BEEF to sign up today.